Dan Perry is an Israeli political analyst and the former chief editor of the Associated Press in Europe, the Middle East and Africa. He joins us now from Tel Aviv. As Noura was saying there, Israel's military is investigating why its air defense system failed to intercept those missiles. It is a rare failure, though, for Israel and its missile defense system.
Yeah, the system is not invulnerable. It's not impregnable, but it is very, very effective. They knew all along that some missiles would get through, and it really is just a matter of luck, how much damage they cause. I suppose that the air defenses are clustered most intensively around strategic targets, which tragically is not the small town of Beit Shemesh in central Israel. So we see what happened there. Obviously, that event, from an Israeli perspective, is tragic, but it doesn't change the bigger picture, which is that the skies over Israel have been largely protected. I think the percentage of missiles that have been successfully intercepted is well into the high 90%. Whereas Israel has succeeded in controlling the skies over its target cities in Iran. These two facts remain, and they are, I believe, the essence of the narrative from an Israeli perspective.
Did Israel, you think, anticipate the ferocity of Iran's response?
I think they realized that the response would have a ferocity that is commensurate with the degree of success they themselves have in their effort to decapitate the regime. It's almost unbelievable if you look at the success the Israelis and the Americans have had in their goal of assassinating not only the supreme leader, but a vast swath of the military and political leadership of the country. And they did this in the space of minutes on Saturday morning. I think it was clear that if that succeeds, the result on the parts of what is left of the regime would not be an immediate surrender and rolling over, but rather an effort to project resilience. They knew it, and therefore it's no surprise, neither in the case of Israel, nor in the case of America's allies across the Persian Gulf so close to Iran, nor in the effort to close off the Straits of Hormuz, etc.
You say it was their goal. Was removing the supreme leader always Israel's strategic objective? It was never about removing Iran's nuclear capability.
I think, an intelligent person can maintain more than one thought at the same time. Israel's goal was to eliminate the threat from Iran. But for sure, they always hoped that the regime would eventually fall. And there's always a question in geopolitics whether it's legitimate for one country to compel a change of regime in another. And for Israel being so clearly a geopolitical rival of Iran, it was always going to be seen as illegitimate. So they had hoped the Americans would step in sort of their on-again, off-again role as global cop and say enough is enough. And Iran gave everyone that excuse to apply the principle of responsibility to protect, R2P, by massacring thousands and, by all accounts, tens of thousands of its own people in the protests that erupted in January. Israel's issue was the nuclear program, the missiles, and the militias that threatened Israel. All of that with a meta-narrative of Khamenei himself and the rest of the leadership of the Islamic Republic constantly predicting Israel's doom, suggesting they would bring about Israel's demise. All this stuff did not sit well with Israel. Did they not also want to eliminate the regime? Of course they did. But for the longest time, I don't think they dared think that they could achieve the kind of success that we see that they have had since Saturday. And indeed, if you examine history, I am having trouble coming up with an analog.
You talk about success, Dan. What does success actually look like as far as Israel is concerned? Because, of course, removing Iran's leadership is not the same as stabilizing the country.
Yeah, and what a lot of people may not realize is that Israelis, and you may think this is naive, really believe that Iranians are their friends, and they would like for Iran to be a stable, prosperous, and democratic country. Of course, the range of possible outcomes here is broad, and on the absolute positive end of it, the result is an Iran that is democratic, chooses democratically to be friendly to the West and to Israel and to cease interfering in the region, and becomes a massively positive player in the global landscape. And then everyone's happy in Israel and probably in much of the world, and I would dare say probably in the Arab world as well. Uh, right now, the least good option in that scale is still not so terrible from Israel's perspective and America's, which is that the Iranian regime has been so significantly chastened that they'll think again very carefully before being so indifferent to the demands of the West. I suppose I'm not being fully precise. The worst case scenario is that the regime doubles down on aggression towards the region, towards Israel, and you just have more and more wars. But I have to think, and this aligns with the history of Iran at various junctures. Even the Islamic Republic knows how to be pragmatic enough to choose someone or to place in positions of power people who uh, would present some version of moderation or pragmatism. And my guess is at the end of the day, when the dust settles here, Iran, in its effort to preserve the status quo, or more accurately put, the Islamic Republic, in its effort to wait out the war, somehow survive, and by its very survival declare victory, they will probably choose not aggression in the short term. Could be wrong, but that would be my best estimate.
Dan, many thanks indeed. Dan Perry there in Tel Aviv.